Hello, today we're going to look at lesson 2.12, word problems for multiplication and division of decimals. We have quite a few tips for solving application problems. You can use the acronym GRASS to help you. So the first step is to look at all the information that is given. You can use highlighters, underline, circle, write things down. That really can help for you to slow down and look at the problem and the situation. Number 2, you can restate the information in your own words or draw a picture. When we say restate, it doesn't mean necessarily on paper. It could be that you're just visualizing yourself in the story. Step 3 is making the decision. What are you going to apply to this problem? Is there a formula to use? Will you add, subtract, multiply, or divide? What can you do about estimating? Can you estimate the answer first? And then step 4 is solving the problem. Showing all the steps, checking your work. Does this seem reasonable based on the situation? And lastly, writing a short sentence answer, including the units. Very important to include things like kilograms, dollars, inches. These are our units. Keywords can help you a lot in identifying what to do in a word problem, but there are lots of word problems that don't have keywords. And you need to be particularly careful for keywords that can be in more than one category. Words like per can mean multiplication or division based on where they are in the story. And even words like more can be both for adding and subtracting depending on the situation. So we're going to solve the 2 questions for the do together section in their entirety. And then I'm going to choose select questions from the exercise to work through, at minimum discussing what to do and sometimes solving them fully. Now, number 1 is about Elizabeth and how she's earning $17.75 per hour. She's working 38.5 hours per week. How much are her gross earnings per week? Well, I would say most of us have had a job in the past or are working now. So we're pretty comfortable with the situation here. Every hour is the same, and she's working the same number of hours per week. And we want the gross earnings, which is before taxes. So we want the total. So the way to get this total is to multiply. Because every hour is the same, we can multiply that by the total number of hours to get the total amount of money. And we're going to be rounding our answer to the nearest cent. So we're going to be taking $17.75 per hour and multiplying that by 38.5. We learned with decimal multiplication that we can count our decimal places. So we have 3 decimal places in total, and then we can write the problem without decimals. I choose to put the 1775 up top because then I can have a 3-digit multiplier in the bottom row. So I'm going to go ahead and multiply these now. 5 times 5 is 25. And then we go through 35 and 2 is 37. 35 and 3 is 38. And then we have 8. The second row you place a 0. And we're going to have 40, 60, 62, and 14. In our third row, we need to have 2 zeros to line up with the 3. We're going to have 15, 22, 23, and 5. We add up all our rows. We'll have 5, 7, 3, 3, 8, and 6. And we determined that we have 3 decimal places. So from the right, we're going to go back 1, 2, 3 places. Now remember, this is money and they want us to round the answer to the cent. So here is our cent position, the 7. The 5 next door will push that up. So we're going to end up with 683.38. So her earnings are $683.38 per week. For number 2, a jeweler has a strip of silver 144.72 centimeters long. He needs 12 centimeters to make one necklace. How many necklaces can he make with the silver he has? So here we have a strip of silver, and what we have been shown is the maximum amount he has. 144.72 centimeters is the distance from the beginning to the end of the silver. He needs to cut that off to make a necklace. So he's going to take 12 centimeters for every necklace. So what he's doing is splitting up the silver strip into chunks of 12. So how many chunks of 12 are going to be in there? How many necklaces can he make? So we take our total and we're going to divide by how much each piece takes, and that will give us the number of pieces. So 144.72 divided by 12. So let's set that up for long division. We're going to write this down, and remember, we're going to pop our decimal into our quotient right away. Now 12 does not go into 1, but does go into 14 once. And 12 times 1 is 12, and we subtract, and we bring down the 4. 12 goes into 24 twice, and that makes 24. So we subtract, and we bring down the 7. Now 12 does not go into 7, it goes in 0 times. So 0 times 12 is 0, and we can subtract the 7. And if you feel confident, you can eliminate that step and just go ahead and bring down the 2 right away. But step by step, after subtraction, we bring down the 2, and 12 goes into 72 how many times? So we might want to do some work on the side here to figure that out. 12 times 6 makes 72. So we're going to put that there, and we determined that 12 times 6 is 72, so we have a 0 remainder. So how many necklaces can he make with the silver he has? Well, he can make 12.06, but I don't think anybody's going to have a necklace that short. So we're going to just round this. We can say he can make 12 necklaces. So for some of these exercise questions, I encourage you to pause the video, try them on your own, and then check with me for the solution. Most of them I show the solution very quickly and may not do all the long division or multiplication. Number 1, you and 3 friends go out for supper and drinks. The bill is $118.74. How much is your share of the bill? And round your answer to the nearest cent. Well, it's you and 3 friends. So that makes 4 people. And you are all splitting the bill. And you want to know your share, which, by the way, will be the same as everybody else's share if you split evenly. So we're going to take $118.74, the total, and we're going to divide this by the 4 people. And we're going to be prepared to round when we see our decimals. So we're going to do our long division. When we do the long division, you're going to end up with 29.685. And that is because as you long divide, you're going to end up having to add a 0 in order to get to your goal, which is a 0 remainder. Now, this is money, so we have to round the answer to the nearest cent, which is in our hundredths place where the 8 is. And the 5 next door is going to push that up. So we're going to end up with $29.69 as the share of the bill. And that's going to be your share and everybody else's share. Number 2, Monique is 5.5 feet tall. If there are 12 inches in 1 foot, what is Monique's height in inches? So here, if we draw a quick picture, and I won't draw it all, let's say that this is 1 foot, and then another foot, and another foot, and another foot. And she's 5.5 of those. And every one of those is 12 inches. So 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches, 12 inches, and going on and on and on. So here we can see that there's more inches per foot, so we need to get a bigger number. So we're going to multiply. We're going to multiply 12 inches times the number of feet. And we can see that we have 1 decimal place. So we're going to multiply, and we can put these numbers in any order. We can do 55 times 12 or 12 times 55. Either way, we're going to have 2 rows to add up. So I'm going to go ahead and solve this now. We're going to have 10 here, 60, and a 0, and 10, and 60. And so that will end up 660, but remember we have 1 decimal place, so we're going to pop our decimal place in from the right. So our answer is 66. So her height in inches is 66 inches. Number 3, the population of Canada is 34,880,000 people. And now this would be a bit outdated, I suppose. In Canada, 0.33 of the population is overweight. How many Canadians are overweight? And what this 0.33 represents is 33% of the population. So we can see that a portion of the population are overweight, but that portion is going to be less than the 34 million that is the total. So in this case, we might be thinking division, but you need to be careful because division by a number that is smaller than 1 is going to result in a bigger number. So actually, what we need to look at here is a very important word. 0.33 of the population meaning the 34,880,000, we're actually going to multiply these two numbers together. So we're going to take 34,880,000 and multiply that by 0.33. Now we can see that we have 2 decimal places. And so we can go ahead and multiply. I'm going to talk to you about a shortcut after we do it, with the zeros. So we're going to multiply by 33. So we're going to go step by step, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then go into 3 times 8 is 24, 26, 14, and 10. For our second row, we put in 0. We start to multiply, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then we go ahead and we multiply, and we're going to get the same numbers just shifted over. So 4, 6, 4, 0, and 10. 1, pardon me. So now we add up all of our rows. We're going to add these up. Lots of numbers, so we have to be really careful. And we go back to our decimal places. So we go 2 decimal places from the right. And we're going to pop that in right there. So when we look at the population, if we go from the decimal point back through our place value, I'm going to put a comma here and a comma here. So that will help me to read the number. So 11,510,400 people are overweight. One thing you may have noticed with this problem is all these zeros out here at the end. If you feel comfortable, what you could do is take those zeros away, and then you could actually add them back on at the end. So you could multiply 34,880 times 33, get your answer, and then add 3 zeros at the end. That works too. Number 5, Chris ate half or 0.5 of a chocolate bar every day for a year, for 365 days. How many chocolate bars did Chris eat? Okay, well, we know that if he ate one a day, that would be 365. But he's not eating a full chocolate bar every day, he's eating half. So this problem can be solved by 2 different ways. If we multiply by 0.5, that's the same as dividing in half. So we have 2 methods, and these methods are really important to know. That multiplying by 0.5 is equal to division by a half, or division by 2. So you can choose your method here. We can take 365 times 0.5, and that will result in 182.5. Or if you prefer, because it's 0.5, it's half, you could take 365 and divide it by 2. And you would get the same result, 182.5. So Chris ate 182.5 chocolate bars that year. Number 7, a box of 12 candies has a total of 230 calories. How many calories are there in each candy? So we have a total of 230 calories, and we have a total of 12 candies. So we know the totals, so there's no opportunity here for us to multiply. We are going to be dividing because we want to know the calories in one of these single candies. So we're going to take the 230 in total divided by the 12 to give us the calories per candy. When we take 230 divided by 12, we don't get an even number. So we are going to have a decimal. So let's show the work here and see where we end up, because the problem gives us a very important clue here that we're going to be rounding to the nearest thousandth. So we're going to be in the full distance for this one. So we start to divide 12 into 23. This goes once. 1 times 12 is 12. We subtract, end up with 11. We bring down the 0. Now we have 12 into 110. Well, 12 times 9 gives 108. So that's our closest number. 9 times 12 is 108, and we subtract to get 2. Because we don't have a 0 remainder, we need to keep going by adding a decimal place, putting it in our quotient, and adding a 0 and bringing it down. 12 does not go into 20 evenly, it goes in once. 1 times 12 is 12, so we keep going, we subtract, and we add another 0 and bring down again. 12 into 80. 12 times 6 is 72. So that's our number. 6 times 12 is 72. and we bring down, and we've got an 8 again and a 0 again. And so we can see where this is going. We're going to bring down and we'll get 80 again. So it's going to be a 6 again, 72 again, an 8, and then an 80 again. So we know that this is going to be a repeater decimal. It's just going to be 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. It's just going to keep going on and on and on like this. Luckily, we're able to round to the thousandths place. And the thousandths place is your third position. So we are going to round up here, and we're going to get 19.167. So there are 19.167 calories in each candy. Number 11, before a trip, the odometer of your truck read 40,862.3 kilometers. After the trip, it read 40,974.5 kilometers. The truck used 20 liters of gas. How many kilometers per liter did the truck achieve? So this question is a multi-step question. Let's take a look at the steps. First of all, we don't know how far we've gone. So we really need to figure that out first before we can even think about the mileage, because we don't know the distance we went. So our first step is to figure out the distance we went by subtracting. So we're going to take the 40,974.5 and we're going to subtract the 40,862.3. We line up our decimals and we subtract 2, 2, 1, 1, and that's it. So we ended up going 112.2 kilometers. Okay, in that 112.2 kilometers, the truck used 20 liters of gas. So the question says, how many kilometers per liter did the truck achieve? So we want to know kilometers per liter. So we can take the 112 and we can divide that up. We can divide it by the 20 liters to get down to 1 liter. So we're going to take 112.2 kilometers divided by the total amount of gas to get back down to 1 liter of gas. So we're going to set up our long division, 20 into 112.2, and we're going to pop up our decimal and begin to divide. Now 20 doesn't go into 1 or 11, so we're going right to 112, and 20 times 5 gives us 100, and we're going to subtract there, giving us 12, and then we're going to bring down this 2. Now 20 doesn't go into 122 evenly. 20 makes 120 6 times. 6 times 20 is 120. So we will have a remainder. Now here they told us to round to the nearest tenth. We're already at the tenths place, but in order to round to the tenths place, we have to go one step beyond. So we will need to add a 0, and at minimum go through and see where we're at so that we can round with confidence. But lo and behold, 20 does go into 20 perfectly only one time. So 1 times 20 is 20, so we end up with a 0 remainder, which is great. But we still need to round because they asked us to round to the tenths place. We've got a 1 beside the 6, so that 6 is going to stay the same. So our answer is going to be 5.6. What does that 5.6 mean? It says how many kilometers per liter did the truck achieve? This truck went 5.6 kilometers per liter. Word problems take time and patience. So take the time you need to read and process the information that is presented to you. Where possible, look for keywords, but even more importantly than the keywords is try to picture yourself in the situation, visualize the situation that you're reading about, draw a picture, make some scribbles, and then make a decision what to do. When you get an answer, check your answer. Does it make sense given the story? And the last thing, and maybe the first thing you need to do, is just take time to breathe and believe in yourself. You can do it.